So welcome back to my channel. My name is Ryan James and I am an artist, and this is where I post all my work. So today I will be drawing this lady and painting her up. It's just a quick illustration, and we probably should talk at some point about all those quick illustrations that we do online. But yeah, we're gonna have a little chat about mental health. Okay, so I think first, before we even get into this subject, I think this might actually be a series of videos I'll do on mental health, because it is a huge subject and there's no way I can fit everything I'd like to say about it within the space of a sort of 10-minute YouTube art video. As any of you who've ever been experienced or been in contact with somebody who's experiencing poor mental health, you'll know it's a whole tapestry to dive into. But for this particular video, I wanted to talk about mental health in specific relationship to art, and specifically in relationship to my art, and how it's helped, how it's benefited, and the points where I've kind of run up against a few problems. Generally, for the most part, I should explain a little bit about my mental health situation to begin with, and it is uncomfortable for me because I am from that generation where any kind of mental health issue was deeply shamed. I grew up believing I was just really unstable. Turns out I'm actually not too bad, but it's for a while I thought I had generalized anxiety disorder. Back in the 90s, we just called it depression. Everything mental health was just some form of depression. I also had that, but now I think I do have a flavor of heightened anxiety, also a flavor of depression, and I think with my investigations recently, I think I might even be in the ADHD universe, because it appears to be very prevalent in my family, and it's something I'm investigating, even though I've had no official diagnosis, and I don't want to diminish those that actually do have ADHD, but yeah, it's sort of beginning to think that that's going on that way. Although, I will be honest, my mental health has been amazing for a long time now. And when I say amazing, there's been no huge manic depressive episodes, no massive sadness, no huge heightened anxiety or prolonged heightened anxiety. Of course, you never are totally free of that aspect, but it's definitely, I'm at a point now in my early 40s where I am the healthiest I've ever been mentally, physically. I'm on any medication for it, but I do take a bunch of supplements, which I might do a video on later. Anyway, when this comes to art, and basically for a long time, art really was my therapy. It saved me, because I had this place to retreat to, because the world in and of itself was just a bit too big and a bit too scary, and the size of the canvas can kind of reduce all of that. It can kind of boil everything down to its smallest phase, and it did that for me for decades. And also with art, I got massively into art journaling, because journaling is a massive thing for me when it comes to my mental health. I have diaries going back to 1994, which is probably older than some of you, but it's yeah, in terms of adding art to it, I painted some of the ways I was feeling, and there was a huge catharsis in that. And then when you get to review what you've painted, there's a healing in that. So there's this huge sort of experience that art has gifted me. Also, I think when I tried to turn art into a full-time career in my early 20s, I was just not stable enough to be able to do that at that point. And a big part of what art has done for me is that it's connected me with some communities locally, and people who understand that kind of neurodiverse way of living. And that's really helped me to connect me to some sources and to some really cool, amazing people. So when it comes to art and sort of depression or anxiety, those particular things, the benefits for me is that I have an outlet. I have a means and a place to put the thoughts and ideas and sometimes the dark stuff in a space, which is why sometimes even though I'm in the happiest place ever, my artwork can be a little bit dark. It's because I've got the darkness out. That's where it goes. The art is the therapy. The same with depression. The only stumbling block for me, I think, is if I do have ADHD, it would make a lot of sense because it would be the root of some of the inconsistencies where I have a lot of trouble finishing projects. I have a lot of trouble trying to stay on task, and I know prioritizing is a massive issue for those with ADHD, which is why I live my entire life with a list. And without my list, I'm all over the place. But even with my list, I find it hard to stick to the list. So there's this whole thing going on there, but it seems to be working for me right now anyway. So I suppose the best way to connect art, and I suppose I think the biggest takeaway I've gotten from being not neurotypical, although I don't think anybody is neurotypical, if I'm honest. That may be a myth in my eyes, but I think it's since the age of about 15, I've practiced meditation, and that has allowed me to sit as a silent witness within my own mind, even in its worst moments. I'm able to sit and observe what my mind is doing. And what that's afforded me to do is to use my mind as a rich inner landscape to actually be able to take some of these thoughts and draw them and paint them without being adversely or overtly affected by them. And even in the moments where I am adversely or overtly affected by them, I can kind of use them to my benefit at some point by making something out of them. It's turning the dark into something beautiful, even if that thing that I've made is beautifully dark. And I think there's merit to it all, I think. But anyway, so this is kind of what I've been doing. I don't know how I would offer that out to you, maybe how I would offer to give you that skill, because I would do anything I could to help somebody in a dark space. But for me, all I can do is share with you what's worked for me, and that has been, if I'm honest, just exercise and meditation. It doesn't heal it in the way that I hoped it would, but it did give me the strength to stand within that space that is completely dark and be able to create something beautiful within it. And that's not something to turn your nose up at. And if you've ever dealt with sort of poor mental health, you'll take whatever you can, and some days you want this big magic wand to come in and just change it all, and other days you just want to get through the day. Thankfully, most of those really, really heavy days are a huge part of my past. And where I am right now, as I've said, is the healthiest I've ever been mentally. And that's because I work out, I stay creatively active, I have a huge stack of herbs and vitamins that I take, and I have meditation and mindfulness and affirmation practices in place to help me stay on focus and stay on task. And I also have a really awesome support system. So even on those days where I do have a slight wobble or things go a little bit left, I have people I can call on, and that I've been in places where I didn't have a single person, so that is something I cherish. Okay, so this is the finished piece. I know she's giving Wednesday Addams vibes, but I've been painting Wednesday Addams before Wednesday Addams was Wednesday Addams, so I'm taking it. And she's just watercolors, watercolor pencils, bits of graphite, Poscas, spit, blood, sweat on watercolor, hot press watercolor paper. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope today I provided some sort of comfort or connection with some of you. That is my focus at the moment, to try and help and try to use this as a place to really open up a little bit. So if you're affected by any of these things that I've spoken about today, my audience is really small right now, so please reach out and I hope I can help, or maybe let you know what's been working for me, and we can sort of create a resource or any of that sort of stuff. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to remember this time to tell you all to like, subscribe, and please comment down below. I genuinely want to get to know all of you. So until next week. Oh, and she is also available in my online store, links down below. I will scan her as well, so if you want a print or a smaller print of her, that's totally okay too. Just let me know. I'm only making those as and when people want them.